Hello there, fellow citizens of the internet. My name is Moses. You are watching this on my YouTube channel. And question that I have for today's video is, do you have to be rich in order to travel? Now, I'm filming this video in my unfinished motorhome, so bear with me. And I'm holding my phone in my hand and I'm using it as a microphone. But anyways, do you have to be rich in order to travel? I don't think so. Here is why. So, in order for me to travel, when I started traveling, this is several years ago. But let me not touch on that yet. Why do we travel? I think I made a video last week talking about traveling and the reasons that's so important to travel. And in that video, I was mentioning that we travel because we want to experience life the way that other people experience life. I want to see what do people in Morocco do life like? What do they eat for breakfast? How do they eat their foods? Is there a difference between how I go about my life and how a completely different culture does their life? Right? That's typically what we think of when we think of traveling. Right? It's going to different nations, going to different cultures that are completely different from our own. Now, traveling as a rich individual, some of the problems of traveling become mere inconveniences. So, for example, you have a last-minute flight cancellation. You can just buy another one, right? You have a health emergency and you have to return home. Get another ticket, right? You get sick. You have all kinds of different things at your disposal, financially speaking, that would make handling those situations a lot easier. If you're traveling, if you're driving across state lines, across different provinces, and your car breaks down, right? You're not doomed, right? So it makes some of the headaches of traveling mere inconveniences. But you don't have to be rich in order to travel. So to touch on on how I started traveling and the things that I would do in order to afford my traveling, is I would work for, let's say, anywhere between 6 to 9 months, 10 months, and deliberately save the amount of money that I think would be sufficient to sustain me in my travels for those 2 to 3 months, right? So I knew, okay, I have to pay electricity, I have to pay this, I have to pay this. How much money do I have to save in order to have all these expenses covered for the duration of the time that I will be gone? And then where do I want to go, right? And then quantify all that, put them in a formula. And sometimes I would fail terribly. I would overspend or underestimate certain emergencies. The car would break down, but that's okay, because I would take the minimum effort required in order to make sure that my travels are accomplished, which is, because we're talking about prices and being rich and whatnot, I would make sure that my economics are in place. Again, I would fail completely, and that's totally fine. But that's not what traveling only is. Is that how it goes? That's not all that there is in traveling. For instance, every Sunday or every other Sunday, I would get in my car and drive for like 45 minutes to 2 hours somewhere to a local city near state lines, right? And just go and sit at a local coffee shop, go and see something that the locals see in that place, what they do on weekends, on Sundays. So that's how I started with this whole traveling thing. Once in a while, I would have the opportunity and the privilege to travel internationally or across multiple state lines, right? To go to, let's say, from Michigan to Chicago. That's not multiple state lines. That's just like a 4-hour drive or so. But that's not, traveling does not necessarily mean that you have to go to a different country. So if you're asking yourself whether you need to be rich in order to travel, the answer is a considerable no. You do not have to be rich in order to travel. You do have to be fiscally responsible, financially disciplined in order to travel if you are not a rich person, which is like most of us, right? So speaking of all of us falling under this umbrella of not being rich, about a year and a half ago, just a little over a year ago, I started working remotely, which has completely facilitated even more how I travel and why I travel. Not necessarily why I travel, but how I travel and how I'm able to maintain my income, sustain my way of living while traveling. And the video on my experience as a remote worker for an entire year will be coming out a week from the time that you see this video. So if you'd like to know what my experience is like, and maybe you are really tempted, or you've been thinking a lot about traveling but you don't know how to go about it, I will be making several videos throughout the career of this channel about the things that I do in order to travel and how I facilitate my travel. So I just heard something. If you'd like to keep up with my channel and know what's coming, and more specifically what my experience has been working remotely for the last year, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.